Gentlemen, here we are today. I'm saving you all the normal prettiness of, oh, let's do our pan and our zoom shots that I do on these builds. Guess what? I'm not doing that. I am building to build. I'm gonna have fun with this. One of these is gonna be a mobile unit that I think is already sold. One of these I know for sure is gonna be a base unit. It is sold for sure. The base unit, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with it. We're gonna do it a little bit differently, just cause. But let me insert some pictures here while I monologue for a minute. As you can clearly see, we polished out the heatsink like we do on all of these, and we lap it up, and as you can see, there's a little square there in the middle that's just, well, polished up like a mirror. And then we throw in there our thermal compound, and then we mount our board, and then we go ahead and we put our transistors down right away, so no smoke, no schmoo, no juice, no dust, no lint, no farts of little angels gets on in the pill pockets. And we lay down our pill strips, and we put down our 100 ohms and our 120s, and then we put our power wires in, then we get our distribution wires all hooked up, and then we put our transformers on. And that brings us up to this moment. So I'm going to continue on. I've got these mounted. I've been sitting here on the phone all morning talking. I've got these power wires mounted. I'm going to change that here in a minute. I'm going to make it so they lay down and make more contact with the board. Not for any other reason other than I can. There's enough wire there. I can sneak the thing around and make it look really, really sharp either way. I'm going to put a wire across the top of the transformers to help support these things. We're going to wrap up our transformers. We're going to build up a bunch of 100 ohm flyback harmonic suppressor resistors. We've got our input transformers put on. The one that's going to go into the 16 pill cabinet, which is going to be the base unit, is going to get mounted. And then we're going to run all of our wires underneath the board like we normally do with the masterclass builds for the mobile, and then we'll get that thrown in the cabinet. So I don't know where we're going to hop back. It's wherever my little heart desires that I want to come back and show what I'm doing. So give me a minute, we shall return. Yay, giggity goo. So we're looking here, and we're looking up here at the bird meter, by the way. So this is our pass-through tune. I'm gonna make sure I got the box off. At 11111111111, perfect pass-through tune. Turn the amp on. Input tune. At 111111111111111 at I told you I'd come back when my heart desired it. 1,000 peak, 1,000 average, 5 watt slug and reverse. But right over there to 1,000 watts, no problem. What I don't know what's going to do is we drive it a little bit harder. I want to grab the 490 and hook it up. I know, you're like, well, what are we talking about, BBI? This video doesn't make any sense. First you showed up and all cocky and arrogant and like, and I said words and stuff. And now you're just straight into testing something. It'll make sense in a minute. At some point I'm going to have to rebuild this shelf, I swear to God. Okay. With the radio driving it, we were using the Striker 955, does 125 watts. At 111. Okay, it's about 200 watts. So we should see just a little bit more. At yeah, on the stop peg. At on the stop peg. So we're making about 1,200 watts peak. At it's hitting the stop peg and bouncing back. So, yeah. Now what we're talking about today is this little masterclass build here. Just straight 4-pill. It's the absolute excellence that everybody's come to love and enjoy that comes off this workbench. Doesn't have any vinyl on it because I just got done tuning the thing and playing with it. And we got it all figured out for the next one that's coming up. And the next one's the one that's all super exciting. Not that this isn't exciting in its own right, but what I built over here is a little bit different. I've You know what? I don't know if I've ever done one of these as a masterclass build before. I might have. I might have. Let me go do the magic that I just did to this one, to that one, and we'll be back. Okay, so let's start here. Once again, looking at the Schwer meter here and the reflect meter up there. So here's our pass-through tune, 11111, hello, 1111. Shit, I got the radio on sideband. It's because this amplifier is going to a guy that loves sideband. Hello, 1111111111. So 0 pass-through reflect, amp on. Hello, 1 2. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So now we'll come look at this. Same as before. 1000 peak, 1000 average, 5 watt slug in reverse. So, hello, 1 2. Hello, 1 2 1 2. 1000 watts, no problem. Radio, amp. Perfectly clean on the spectrum. But what did we build, BBI? What's all the hoopla about? Well, I took a 16-pill cabinet and I mounted the 2x4 cabinet right down the middle of it. How does that work, BBI? How are you going to get the air out of the back of the box evenly? Easy. We're going to use all of it. As you guys can clearly see, the air will come down through the front of the heatsink, right here. And then I took some really super thin phenolic and I put it on the sides and I made it into a bell shape, right? And then I built little custom plates to sit out here on the edges. So all the air has got to go out through the heatsink, but it's going to utilize both sides of the exhaust ports. So there should be little to no restriction. I used 2 of our very well tried, true and tested HP 1200 supplies. So on 110 volts, we've got easily 140 to 160 amp supply. And of course it's pre-wired up so it's smart, so if you wanted to change it over to 220, all you got to do is change the plug out. We've currently got it wired 110, but on 220 we know that this is easily, and I mean this seriously, a 200 amp supply that's inside of this thing. So if the guy wanted to, we could put some plugs on the back and he could power his radio and everything else off of this 1000 watt amp. What I want to do before we cut away, because I've still got to put the fan cases on, or the fans on the top, I got to vinyl up the cabinets and all that stuff before we come back to wrap this thing up. I'll probably do this tomorrow since I spent most of the day building both of these boxes and I'm getting a little tired. What we will do before we cut away is I want to take the Striker 490 and I want to run it into it. So let's see here. This is just the radio at 1 2, right at 200 watts, right? At hard on the stop peg. So now let's come over here. We'll take this up to 2x. And as we all know, right here between the 40 and the 60, right there, is 1000 watts. And all the way over here in the corner is 2000 watts. So we'll see where we end up here. Walk around the camera. At 1200, no problem. At 111, maybe 18, which is perfect. Now, this amplifier does afford us some other things that don't normally come on most of these amps. This switch here is our sideband delay. This switch here, when it's in the down position, is auto key, and when it's in the up position, we're going to utilize this RCA jack that's here at the back for manual key. So if you want to step on the foot pedal, and lock the relay up and then start talking, or tie it into your advanced ICOM radio or whatever so that your relay is closed before you start modulating on sideband, you'd be winning. So now back over here, I need to change radios again. Hold on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ran the amp to its max. Now the guy told me when I spoke to him the other day, I talk only sideband. Sideband is my jam, man. And I went, okay, cool. I'll make you a sideband bass box. Da-dee-dee-do, hello, 1 2, hello, 1 2 1 2, hello, 1 1 1 1 1 1, hello, audio, audio, 1 2 1 2, hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2, audio, 1 2. You'll probably see about 800 average and roughly 1,000 peak out of this thing. And to make sure that that computes to people, we'll put this back in 1x. So now when the needle moves all the way to the right, it's 1,000 watts, right? Right, okay. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. I'm really quite happy with how this turned out. I had this idea last night or the night before and thought, man, wouldn't it be neat if I could, instead of having to do the same damn thing every time, wouldn't it be neat if I had the power supplies split and had them sitting on each side? So each 2-pill section has a 100 amp supply attached to it. Stupid is what it is. And we put the heatsink right down the middle of the cabinet, and then we made a bell shape to help funnel the air out of the back of the cabinet. It's pretty slick. I like this. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but I like this. The other thing I did is I built an amp the other day for a guy. It was a 6-pill, and I only had one of these 3D printed brackets on there. Well, he got it on the other end, and there was no damage to the amp other than the brackets broke. One snapped off right at the base, the other one snapped down the middle. So, I'm telling you, this is the way to go. Let me get the cabinet all put together and the vinyl all done up. And we'll be back here in just a minute to wrap this up. Well, here we are at the end of the song and dance, but I kind of made a mistake, y'all. The mistake I made is I forgot to add a couple bits and pieces here to the equation. So I told the customer, I said, okay, man, your amp's done. He's like, great. So where'd you end up putting the auxiliary power supply jacks? And then I went, oh, yeah. Here's the reason I put so many switchers inside this box, guys. I forgot to add this breaker, and I forgot to add these 2 terminals to the back of the amplifier so he could power his radio off the amp. So, real quick, before we wrap this show up here, I got to go back inside, disconnect the fans, drill a couple more holes in the back of the cabinet, and mount up some power studs and the breaker. So let me get that done here real quick, and we'll be back and we can wrap this up. Okay, so put a 30 amp breaker up here, resettable breaker instead of a fuse. Put on our 2 terminals. We got to go into common ground, and then we're pulling off the hot bus off this power supply. Okay, got our standard jacks on the back. A little bit of positive action, a little bit of negative action. Just put an eyelet through there and tighten this down. These are rated for 50 amps. The breaker's rated for 30 continuous. I think that we should be perfectly safe there. Like I said, the amp's wired for 110 volts at the moment. It'd do better for you if you ran it on 220, but I know that currently in your shack you've only got 110. So now that we've got it completed, I'm gonna attach the lid and get all the screws in it, and we'll be back to wrap this up. Well, so here we are at the end of the song and dance, the story per se. Hello, 1 2 1 2 audio, 1 2 1 2. This is with the derail Striker 955 hitting this. It's making 1,000 watts peak consistently. I got it plugged into this outlet, and I think we all can argue that that outlet might be a little overloaded. Just saying. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, 1 2. So 400 bird, 1,000 watt peak consistently. This amplifier here I did as an experiment, me personally. I wanted to see if center mounting the heat sink would increase the amount of air that moves through the heat sink. I don't want to say yeah it did, but it definitely lowered the pressure on the backside through the vents. Us having that conical wedge, just letting the air roll out the back whichever way it wants to go. I feel that this is going to be a good unit for you. Yeah, it's up to you if you want to put a 220 volt lead on the end of that thing. It's in your hands. I want to give a big shout out to the Patreon supporters. The Patreon guys make it so we don't have ads. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, or those that, I mean, a lot of people that watch YouTube have ad blocker and all that kind of stuff. I know that. But some people don't, right? Have you noticed that YouTube is now doing 60 and 120 second ads now? The Patreons, these guys here, are the ones that allow us not to have ads in the middle of our content for all of you guys out there in YouTube land. Both of these pieces of equipment got sold to the Patreon supporters. These are guys that came and set up a Patreon account and said, hey, we want to help support. And it doesn't matter. It's like, I think one guy's at $1 and another dude's at like 10. I appreciate the support. It helps, right? The Patreons are the ones that allow me to sit over here for hours a day and sit on the phone and answer questions. And the Patreons are also the ones that allow me to be able to take off and do these road trips and do the interview videos that I do. Or go earlier this summer and go to Texas and spend a month working on, the largest amplifier in the world that's getting built. If it wasn't without the support of the Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do these things. If it wasn't for them, I would not be able to do a lot of these things. I'd be more focused on trying to get, So I say thank you to Patreon supporters, and also this is a big kick out to you guys. I just provide the content. I sit over here and I work on the projects and I film it and I put it here on YouTube, which pays me nothing. YouTube literally pays nothing. I don't have a big enough market demographic and I don't have enough views. I'm not in the millions of view club, right? So there's not a way to make a living off YouTube and do this at the same time. And the Patreons are the ones that take up that gap. And that's the reason why we don't have to worry about ads. So I want a big shout out to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you to all of them. If you're interested in joining, just go set up an account on Patreon, come find BBI Amps, and come join us. When you do join, take a minute, find the handles and call sign list, put your name in that list, and I will add you to the end of every YouTube video. Just like the 600 something names that come up at the end of each one of these videos. All those names are from people that have actually shown up and decided they want to help support the channel, and I say thank you to all of them. Big super shout out to Penta. Penta Labs is giving us a 5% discount if you mention my name at checkout. 5% off the shipping and whatnot. And everything I've ever done with those guys, they have gone above and beyond to try and make everybody that works or buys product for them satisfied. I don't know how else to describe it. There's been very few glitches, but the glitches that have happened, the guys at Patreon or Penta have just really, really, really shown up, and they're on a mission. They really are. Big shout out to XS, Siglent, McMahon, Bird, Coaxial Dynamics. And gentlemen, I thank every single one of you guys out there in YouTube land. So now these are done. I've got to send some photos off to the owners of the new amps, and now it's time for me to box everything up and send it off to its new home. So I say, gentlemen, thank you. I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho by far. I don't know what that counts for in this world day and age, but it is what it is. And I say thank you to everybody out there that helps support this channel. Every thumbs up, every comment, everything helps. It helps the algorithm understand that I'm not just a little backwater channel, and that there's people out there that really want to have my content pushed into their suggested reel and actually continue doing the notifications. So on that note, I say thank you, gentlemen. I'll see you. I'm off to the next project. Click, click.